Welcome to Hutchinson Economic Developments. My name is Miles Seppelt. I'm the Economic Development Director for the city. In this episode, we're going to have our normal project updates, and then in our second segment, we're going to talk about downtown development, what the theory is, and then how we bring that to life here in Hutchinson. So let's move on to the updates. Biggest thing right now, I think, is the Hotel Jorgensen. So this is on track to be demolished. Right now where we stand on this thing is that all the hazardous materials have been removed from the building. So that part of the project is complete. And then now a plan has been approved by the Minnesota Department of Transportation to cover street closures here when it gets time to take the building down. The demolition contractor has been identified, and they'll be coming here in a few weeks. Probably the biggest item here, I guess, is that originally we were thinking demolition was going to happen in March. That's going to get pushed back to the second half of April. And the reason is because they need to bring in what's called a high-reach demolition excavator. There's a picture of it on your screen. So there's not a whole lot of these things around, so they have to wait until one's available, and that won't be until the second half of April. So basically, second half of April, that's when demolition should be going, and then it's going to take probably 4, 5, 6 weeks to complete. And then now here's a map that shows how the streets are going to be closed when this project happens. So basically, Washington Avenue is going to be closed off next to the hotel, be closed off altogether. And then the western lanes of Highway 15, so basically the first drive lane and then the parking area in front of the hotel, that's going to be closed. The alley behind the hotel will be closed. The contractor is going to be putting up a tall fence all the way around this to keep the area safe. And then, like I said, it's probably 4, 5, 6 week project here to demolish the hotel. And then when they do that, my understanding is they're going to leave the foundations in place to help preserve the integrity of the basement area so that the streets don't collapse into it. So we're going to keep that existing foundation, probably fill it in temporarily until such time as they decide they're going to move ahead and build the new hotel. And that could be, it could be 1 or 2 or 3 years. It just depends on getting the project financing into place, how the economy is doing and all that stuff. So we're encouraging the developer to move on this as fast as possible, but it may take a little time. So that's it for the Jorgensen, I think. On the Landing, this project is moving ahead very rapidly, and I went out and took pictures of it before we just had the big snowfall, so no snow in these pictures. But you can see they have the roof on. This is the view of the building from Girl Scout Park looking west. So they've got the roof on, they got all the roof details taking shape, so that looks very interesting. And then they're putting on the building wrap. Here's a picture of the building from the west, looking directly to the east. So Main Street would be behind the building here. Here's another view of the building. This is on First Avenue Northwest looking east. So Cornerstone Commons is off to the right. Main Street is back off to the right. Here on this one now you can see bottom left-hand corner there, that's where the entrance is going to be for the garages in the building. So starting to take shape. I think the framing is probably done on the thing. It's really just a matter of getting the building wrap on. Then they'll start putting on the siding, get the windows in. It'll start taking shape here really quickly. Here's a view of it from the southeast corner. So where I'm standing, Dairy Queen would be behind me when I took this picture. And you can see there where the rooftop patio is going to take shape on the southeast corner of the building. And then here's another view just looking up Franklin. The Crow River is there in the background. So yeah, project's moving ahead really good. Probably month of May, the city's going to be coming in there because we have to dig out a stormwater retention pond. And then there'll be some street work happening as well. So that'll be the first part of the summer when that takes place. Other news item is that Guiding Light Early Learning Center is open for business, and they're recruiting now to have kids in there for the daycare. So they have openings for preschool and school-age children. So if you know of anybody that needs daycare, or you have need for daycare, the number's there on the screen. They're enrolling kids right now. And then out at the Enterprise Center, we had one company graduate, mentioned that last time. Now we have 8,000 square feet available. So has loading docks, has drive-in doors, has pretty much everything a company could use, pretty inexpensive space. So we're in the process of recruiting a new company. Here's the couple views of the inside of the bay, 8,000 square feet altogether, or it could be two 4,000 square foot bays, just depending. So that's pretty much the update for this time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Certainly feel free to give me a call anytime. My number's there on the screen, and I would enjoy talking with you. So that's the update. In our next section, we're going to talk about downtown development, so stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Hutchinson Economic Developments. In our second segment, we're going to talk about downtown development. So I'm going to talk about the theory behind downtown development and how we implement that here in Hutchinson. So the first and the most obvious question probably is, why is a downtown important? And there's multiple reasons. Number one, it's an economic engine. I mean, you have a lot of businesses in a very little space. And then obviously what goes with that is you have a lot of jobs and a lot of spending. So it really is an economic engine for the community. Number two reason is that you have a lot of taxable market value, a lot of buildings, a lot of valuation that's there. And so it makes sense for us to be focused on preserving that, because it is probably the biggest concentration of market value in the whole town. So that makes it important. Number three reason why downtown is important is it's really our community identity. It's kind of the heart of the community. This is what we're about here in Hutchinson, kind of representative of who we are. Number four, it's a gathering space, because that's where we have parades, we have our concerts, we have events, all kinds of activities going on in the downtown. Number five reason that downtown is important is that it's a cultural hub. This is where people go to have experiences. You go out to eat, you go out to be entertained, you go out to see and do things that are interesting or fun. It's all about the experiences. So it's the cultural hub of the community. Number six reason that downtown is super important is that it really is an attractor of new talent and new residents to the community, because they see our downtown, they get a sense of what Hutchinson is about, and they see how we take care of everything, how we value quality, how we like to preserve our heritage and all that stuff. So people are attracted to that type of thing. And then finally, number seven is it really is a source of community pride. It's sort of the face of our community, I guess, if you will. And it kind of represents, like I said, just who we are. And it reflects on the whole town. The downtown reflects on the whole community. So all those reasons together, that's why downtown is super important. When a downtown thrives, it usually sends the signal that our community is doing well economically and socially, that we're healthy here and we're doing good things here. So all those together, that's why we value downtown and we want to preserve it. So next question then, I guess, is how do we create a great downtown and how do we keep a great downtown? So there's really four strategies that go into it. So the first one is just preserving the existing building stock. We have some very nice buildings downtown that are very well kept, and we want to preserve those and keep those. So the EDA, we do part of that. We have different programs. We have a couple grant programs and a loan program that are geared toward helping to preserve that existing building stock. We have our sign and awning grant program. I would say the EDA is probably bought almost every sign you see up and down Main Street, and quite a number of the awnings. That's just part of what we do to keep these buildings looking nice. And then we have a facade improvement matching grant. So if a person is doing a project, we can award up to $7,500 if they spend that same amount. So that's about improving the windows and the doors and taking care of the brickwork and so forth, just so that the face of these buildings is kept up. And then finally, we have our loan program that we operate sort of in conjunction with banks. But if a building needs a new roof or something, we want to make that work financially. And so that's where that loan program comes in. We'll oftentimes partner with the bank to provide the funding package to make these projects happen. But it's all in the service of preserving our existing building stock. Another part of keeping a good downtown is just eliminating the blight. That's kind of one of the foundational things that you want to do. And an example of this would be the Cornerstone Commons project that we did years ago. This is on the corner of Main Street and First Avenue North. There used to be an old gas station there, a pawn shop, and a vacant lot. And the EDA, we did a heck of a lot of work with the developer to put together a project, make the project successful. So when you eliminate blight, that really makes a big difference. Big return on the investment when you eliminate blight. It increases property values, helps bring in new businesses, makes the area more safe, because blighted areas are a magnet for folks that want to cause trouble. So we want to get rid of those. So removing blight keeps areas safe. It improves the image of the whole community. We just get rid of the old stuff, replace it with new stuff. So eliminating blight, it really goes a long way toward having a big economic impact in the area and just improves the whole neighborhood all the way around. So where we once had this blighted area, today we have Cornerstone Commons, which is an economic driver, a job creator, and a hub of activity. So that's, a big win for our downtown. Another example of removing blight was the old railroad depot. Years ago, that was pretty blighted. It had old rail cars, it had railroad tracks that were there, had an old building. The depot building itself had been damaged by fire, and there was a little bit of concern about just losing that historic structure. But again, the EDA got involved, and on this project, we partnered with McLeod County Rail Authority. We got a big grant from the state of Minnesota, and the city was another partner. And we took what was really a pretty rough-looking area on the edge of downtown and made it into a very nice farmers market area, one of the best-looking ones in rural Minnesota. So that downtown farmers market, that's a big driver of downtown because it brings new visitors to the downtown, supports local businesses, helps build community connections, supports healthy living because we're providing fresh food, and attracts visitors from other towns. So here's what it looks like today. The EDA came in and we spent $100,000 to build that pavilion. The rail authority, they picked up the depot building and moved it and then refurbished the building. The city came in and built the parking lot and added the trail on the north side. So today, this is a hub of activity that is a real plus for our whole downtown. And it's not just the farmers market, there's all kinds of other events that happen over there as well. So pretty big win, I think, for downtown Hutchinson. Another thing that we want to do to help create a thriving downtown is just to get people living in the downtown area. Housing, that's a big driver of downtown vitality, because when you have people living there, that's built-in customers for every business up and down Main Street. It helps increases foot traffic, keeps the area safer because there's just more people running around, more eyes open watching things, and it just creates an image. It creates a vision of what downtown should be, right? We're changing a 9 to 5 downtown into a 24-hour downtown. So Cornerstone Commons, that would be, not Cornerstone Commons, but rather the landing, that's the perfect example, because that's going to be 81 apartments. That's going to translate into probably 120, 130 people living in the downtown. So that's going to add a lot of vitality. And then in addition to having people live downtown, we want to have people working downtown. The workers themselves can be customers. And so an example would be Midwest Industrial Tool Grinding, bought the old Shopko building and refurbished it. What had happened is that the company had approached the city and asked about it, and we had to do a little bit of an adjustment to our downtown zoning to make this possible. But we thought this was a great project and a great opportunity, because now we have 70 or more employees that are just working right in the downtown, and they go out after work. They're going to go get a pizza, or they're going to go to get a drink or whatever, or maybe go shopping, who knows. But it's just going to add a whole lot of vitality to the downtown. So another big gain. And then the fourth strategy is what's called creating a downtown sense of place. So a sense of place, that's defined as the combination of the physical design, the culture, and the activity that gives a downtown its identity, right? And makes people want to be there. So there's different elements that go into this sense of place. So one of the elements is that downtown has a clear identity. It just doesn't look like anything else in town. It's just different from other commercial areas. And the example that I would highlight is that if you go down on the south end of town, where the big box retailers are, where the big grocery stores are, and so forth, that's really an automobile-centered area. It's just a big parking lot, and then you go into the store, and that's it. And then you contrast that with downtown, that's way more pedestrian-oriented. We want people walking around, so we want places to sit, we want lighting that's appropriate for pedestrians, we want interesting things to look at, so on and so forth. But the upshot of all this is that downtown does have a very clear identity. It just doesn't look like any other commercial area in town. Another thing that we're striving for is that downtown is multifunctional. So we have multiple destinations all in one compact area. So think about downtown Hutchinson. We have government, we have the city hall downtown, we have the police station downtown, we have the Department of Motor Vehicles downtown, we have all kinds of services downtown if you need to get insurance or other services, need to get a haircut or whatever it is, all that is downtown. You have parks downtown with Library Square and Girl Scout Park, a Veterans Park, a Fireman's Park. So a lot of nature in the downtown. With the addition of the landing, we have housing in the downtown, and then also housing, there's new housing at 101 Park Place. And then the houses, of course, that surround the downtown. So we have multiple things there. Shopping opportunities downtown, quite a few. A number of dining opportunities. And then finally, entertainment. So you can go to the movies, or you can catch some live music or a comedy act or whatever it is. So we have all these functions in this downtown area. That's all part of making it giving it a sense of place. The third component is that it just has a strong streetscape design, and it's just made for pedestrians. So years ago, we did a streetscape project where we redid all the sidewalks and replaced all the light poles, made them much more decorative, gave it a much more appealing look, and then we added all these lights that were more of a pedestrian scale, and they lit up the sidewalks better and just made it easier to walk around in the downtown. So the pedestrian scale lighting, that enhances safety because things are more lit up, makes downtown just more inviting in general, highlights our historic buildings and the signage, and then just encourages people to be outdoors and to hang around outdoors. And then when it comes to streetscape, we're doing different things there. We want a downtown that's easily walkable. You can park the car and then you can go do all kinds of different things. And then we're striving for compactness, for safety, for design as key elements. So here is a picture of the sidewalk. We have the planters. So you have nature present, helps soften the look of everything. The sidewalks were done very intentionally to give a very strong visual cue so that people would readily identify where the edge of the sidewalk is. And this really helps folks that are visually impaired. And then also the edge of the sidewalk, it's got a different texture. So when you're walking on it, it feels different. Again, that's all geared toward helping folks that may be visually impaired, so they know where they're at on the sidewalk. And then we have places to sit in the downtown. So All these things play together to give us a good, strong streetscape design and help make the downtown pedestrian friendly. One of the fun things that we have here in Hutchinson is that out of the 853 cities in Minnesota, there's only 2 of them that buried pretty much all of their power lines. 90% or more of the power lines in Hutchinson are underground. And we did this for very practical reasons because we have a lot of precision high-tech manufacturing. They depend on reliable power. We can't afford to have power outages. And in order to improve power reliability, we buried all the power lines so that you don't have wind taking these things down, trees falling on them, or ice pulling down power lines, or any of that stuff. So got everything underground. The bonus is that it makes our whole community look a lot nicer. I mean, it just looks way better not having these power lines overhead. Another key element to creating a downtown sense of place is just having historical buildings in your downtown, having a unique heritage. And here in Hutchinson, we've got a couple terrific examples. One of those is the historic State Theater. This was originally built in 1937, and then it closed in 1999, I believe. And by 2000, 2001, it was in danger of potentially being demolished. And we just got really lucky in that we met a couple that had a dream of owning and operating their own movie theater. The EDA got involved in this project in a huge way, and we were able to refurbish this thing and bring it back to life. So the State Theater was saved in 2005, and now it's a huge asset to our downtown. And there's not a lot of communities that have a jewel like this in their central downtown. So we're super fortunate there. One fun fact about the State Theater is that it has over a mile of neon inside and outside of the building. I mean, there's over 5,000 feet of neon there, and it just looks spectacular. So super blessed to have that. Another cool heritage piece for Hutchinson and our downtown is our library. You know, originally built in 1904, and 1985 is when they came in and did an expansion of it. And I think personally they did just a fantastic job in preserving the historical aspects of the building, because when the architects came in, they designed the expansion. The 2 wings that were added, they were all done in black. And so a person's eye just naturally gravitates toward the historical part of the building. And in my opinion, that's the thing that should be highlighted. And so now we have a great library. It's a modernized library and a historical library, and a huge, huge plus for our downtown. Back in, I'm gonna say about 2007 or 8, I think it was, we had a donation came in and we added that central fountain in the middle of Library Square. And that was a great addition because it adds some movement and is another attraction and another fun thing to have in our downtown. So here in Hutchinson, we've got the unique heritage. We've got some really, really great historic buildings that we're able to preserve, and they contribute in a big way toward creating this sense of place downtown. Another element of creating this sense of place is that we just have people present. We got people doing things in the downtown. And so the farmers market contributes to that. We have music in the park and other activities going on in the downtown, along with, the various entertainment options with the movies or dining out or comedy shows or parades, all kinds of different events that happen in the downtown. So there's lots of people, and there's going to be a lot more. Once the landing opens up this fall, we'll have even more people downtown. So that's a key element. Another element of creating this sense of place is that people are encouraged to linger. And part of that is we got to have the area that's safe and well lit. That's why we introduced those pedestrian scale lighting on Main Street and Washington Avenue. And then also that the area is exciting and attractive. There's things to do, there's things to see, there's activities going on, a lot of excitement. And then on top of that, there's places to sit, right? Not only the benches, but think about the different places around town where you can just sit on, like the edge of the fountain in Library Square, for example. And so all of it's designed on purpose to get people to kind of hang around and spend time in the downtown. A couple more examples here are the little pocket park that was created behind Citizens Bank, and then the addition of public art in different places, just trying to keep the whole area looking interesting and fun to be out on a walk. Another element of creating this downtown sense of place is just a connection to nature. So the natural assets, you know, they're all connected to downtown. We've got multiple trails running in and out of downtown, but that creates foot traffic. It encourages tourism, provides economic opportunity, just gives an overall higher quality of life because we have the river, we have these wonderful parks all the way up and down the river. So many communities make a big mistake in that they turn their back on the river. And, you know, fortunately here in Hutchinson, we have done the opposite. We really embrace the river and are highlighting nature at every opportunity. So that all contributes to creating this wonderful sense of place that we have in downtown Hutchinson. So all together now, you know, preserving the existing buildings, getting rid of blight, getting people living in the downtown, and creating this sense of place, those all play together to create a great downtown, preserve a great downtown. And we have more fun projects on the drawing board. There's a lot of neat things in the pipeline yet that are going to make downtown even better. So we're super blessed here in Hutchinson to have a super nice downtown, and we're going to keep working to make it even better. So that's everything for this episode of Hutchinson Economic Developments. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.